Welcome,
shit, we're
ladies and
doing it
gentlemen,
again.
and what?
I talked over it.
Okay, reset
What?
from the top, from the top.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and all other gender identities to the I Wish You Would podcast. Joining me today are one of these two,
I
whoever wants
like
to
your
introduce
touch.
themselves first.
We should totally add that more. I agree. I'm DJ, and I'm here to talk about what we talk about. I forgot.
Cults of personality.
Oh yeah. And with our man on the
Also-
right or the left.
Whichever one I am to you. My name is Max. It's good to have you guys here.
So, even though the title is Cults of Personality, this is
All
also
about a
going to
cult.
delve into parasocial relationships as well, because
Ooh,
they're similar
big
kind of
words.
psychology.
Psychology.
Are you gonna put on the screen like what
The
that
more
is?
you know.
Sure.
Like para what was it? What was it?
Parasocial relationships. Well,
Parasocial relationships. That is a mouthful.
and
Say it twice.
yeah, and
Are
I
you
think,
gonna define it?
yeah, I think so. I think parasocial relationships is the one people are more familiar with because it has more to do with celebrity figures. So when you're talking about rabid fandoms and
Oh yeah.
things like that, parasocial
Post your
relationships
first
come
one
up a
that came to
lot. So
mind.
basically, a parasocial relationship is when a celebrity or figure's fan base feel like they have a personal connection to that celebrity without even ever having met them necessarily. They just feel an innate connection to them.
Feel it
And
in the
a lot of
chest.
these lead to very unhealthy fans, toxic fans, and people that
A
will
little
defend
bit.
these figures without any logic or reason to defend them.
It's the ride or die, man.
Yeah.
Right or
But
die.
the-
They're in love in a way. In a way, they're in love.
Yeah. And then a
Yeah.
cult of personality is something similar, but it has more to do with political figures. So a prominent example would be there were several of them during World War II. When you have Francisco Franco and the dictator of Spain, Benito Mussolini in Italy, Adolf Hitler in Germany, right? Their followers would not question him at all.
You were hard, bro. You're like, we're gonna talk about cult of personality. Dictators. Let's
Well,
go.
I love the
that is where
concept
they
that
mostly
we
come
go.
in.
We go into a conversation about something like, oh, hey, what are the things that you ate yesterday? Or what public restaurant. The one that Preston goes and you're like, listen here, motherfuckers, I did real research.
We're gonna talk about
I have
Hitler now.
literature.
But yeah, so those are
History, bitch.
those are kind of the two sides of the same coin. It's just
Yeah.
whether or not they're political figures or leaders versus celebrity figures.
Okay.
But all cult of personalities.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just have different names. The more specifically, the ones about political figures are called cult of a leader, and then parasocial relationships or cult of personality is the umbrella term.
Yo, I'm not gonna
Okay,
lie. I
okay.
do have probably the worst thing to cite normally in general because it's not always good. It's the internet. But I have Wikipedia because I heard cult of personality and all I could think of because I couldn't get away from just the song. So all I could hear was the tune of the song and 0 words. But yeah, no, that's crazy, dude. Yeah, cult of a personality, cult of a leader, yeah.
Because I know some of the more prominent celebrity variants of this is people like Taylor Swift, the Kardashians.
Swifties.
Yeah.
Swifties.
I found the Eminem fan base to be this way as well.
Would you say-
Really?
I mean, to be fair, there's also like the Critical Role critters too, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I would say I'm a part of that because I do love me some Critical Role.
Well, but there
I'm
there
a
is a
creator
difference
for
between
sure.
being a part of a fandom and then participating in these kind of parasocial relationships.
There's
Because
a difference
I
of liking a thing and then also
Yeah.
sacrificing the lamb to it.
because also with
Jesus.
me, like I'm also an Eminem fan, right?
Hell yeah, dude.
And
Same.
I love hip hop, and Eminem is
Yep.
one of my favorites. But I'm also going to be the first one to criticize when he comes out with a crappy song, right?
Yeah.
But anytime I do that, there's always one or several people that are like, actually, it was actually a
Shut the fuck
masterpiece
up.
and better than anything he's put out previously because I like it.
Listen, I'm. What's that, Eminem? Okay, okay. Listen here, motherfuckers. And I agree. I think that's a fair point. Would you call a cult of personality, at least the people that would be a part of said cult or fandom, would be very culty in that respect of like anything that could be criticized is just you have to defend against it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Well, and they believe
is
it
the
like the
definition of it.
gospel, basically.
I
Like
mean,
it's
and-
just every word from their mouth, every action they do, they follow it, they obsess over it, and they think everything they do is right. Essentially,
Yeah, and there's another term for it when you look back at older civilizations and religions. It's called apotheosis, which is the deification of a human. Like they take these humans and make them more than human.
that's fair.
And sometimes it feels like that's what they do with these celebrities. Like all of a sudden they're not people. They are these perfect beings that can make no mistake.
I'm gonna be
oh,
fair.
that's exactly what they are.
I feel like I'm on number 100. Number humble one. I would say that all people are not perfect. There is no perfection. Period. Except for one instance that is acceptable. He is perfect. It is in fact Keanu Reeves. But
Yes, I was just talking about this today.
no, I think everyone has they clearly has their problems. Everyone's got their demons and their skeletons in the closet. But I would say, yeah, I get it. There's a lot of like bad, not great things in the world. I can understand like finding the person that makes you feel happy, or like the role model, if you will. It's like, they can do no wrong. They are. I mean, like I've definitely have done that with like my father.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
you look up to your parents. They to be fair, as a child, you don't know shit. So there's definitely a point of like, yo, mom and daddy got the answers.
I'll let you guys talk about that momentarily. I have to go take care of something.
Very good. He's gonna go
Ah.
put out a fire while we derail the shit out of this show. Let's get into that.
You know, we may or may not cut this out because we could just slaughter this, and he's the only thing holding us together.
With literature specifically.
Literature.
So
it's
I'm
the
curious.
glue that holds us together.
What are some like personalities that you would consider yourself a fan of in terms of things? Because I feel like I've got a few that I would love to hang out with or meet or like,
Well, like, I can't say I'm any that I'm obsessed to the point of where I could say I'm a part of the cult of personalities of
I
that
don't like
individual.
I don't like people enough to be able to say that
But
I could ever be in a
you
cult
mentioned a
of that
great
sort.
one. I would love to sit down and talk to Keanu Reeves. I'd
dude.
love it so much. I love his work. I think he's done a lot of cool things. I think he's done a lot of good things based on really, I would call it very little knowledge I know, because I don't, whatever's online, I believe it.
Yeah.
Barely ever. So yeah, that's one of them. Another good example, the critters. I'm a critter for sure. I'm a huge fan of my mind goes blank,
I
that
don't,
person. No,
I'm
no.
not familiar with that.
Really,
One.
those two, I like how the two that I'm probably the largest fans of when it comes to like people you've already mentioned. Other than that, I don't really follow a whole lot. I used to be big fans of people like Will Smith was one at one point, Hugh Jackman.
Yo. Okay.
Yeah. Kristen Bell. I mean, all the way back in when she was doing, oh fuck, what was that show she was in? I'm spacing.
I got nothing for you, man.
No, you don't know Kristen Bell.
Not really. I'm terrible
yeah,
with names.
I was a big fan of hers for a long time. Someone's probably gonna say it in the comment. They're like, "Oh yeah, that show from like the early 2000s."
That one specific one. Yeah, no, I. So for me specifically, dude, I obviously I love Keanu Reeves would be awesome. I feel like I'd feel horrible about Keanu Reeves because I feel like I would have like nothing to say.
You know,
like I feel like I could. I could probably big chill.
I think he would just talk to you like a normal person.
I would
and I
love
feel
to
like
pick his
you
brain
would
about
too.
some stuff. Yeah, but like I'd love to meet like all of the Critical Role team. I love all of those guys. I love their chemistry, dude. When I see like the chemistry, the friendships that they have, I love all of them. I love Dimension 20 with Brennan.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was like, oh, I can't believe I forgot about him.
Ali Beer. Yeah, all those guys, dude. I love all of those guys. I hate that like I don't like California. It scares me as a player.
Yeah,
I want to live in the mountains alone and be like, just big chilling. But like I would love to hang out with those guys. I'd love to play D&D with those guys. I'd love to do like a story or something, like anything like that. Then there's like you go to my some of my favorite YouTubers stuff. Like I love Grand Thumb. I would love to hang out with that guy for just a full ass weekend. Just shooting.
Know who that is.
You don't know? Oh man, I love his stuff. He's so
I just
funny.
don't watch enough YouTube.
He's all about like dad jokes and shooting guns and having a good time. He's
sounds
very
like a good time.
He's a good he's cool, dude. I love that guy. Brendan Herrera, love him.
Oh, okay.
Matt Carricker from Demolition Ranch. Like a lot of them are gun guys because I love watching those guys go and have fun, blow things up because that's so much fun. But like,
that's what you and Rice always get into.
Yeah, dude, hell yeah. But like that's the thing. Like I can't imagine. I feel like I would defend them if it made sense. Like if someone were like, "Hey, this guy did this thing." Like for instance, I would say to bring up a relatively controversial thing that happened. Like there was a point with a certain YouTuber that happened with, his entire career kind of going to dog doo doo. And would people still defended him against it? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Nah, man. Nah.
Probably did it.
No, he admitted that he did it, and it was like,
oh, okay.
Oh, okay. No. Like I enjoyed you as a character, but I can't be behind that. That bothers me to my core.
See, and that's the line between being a healthy fan and a toxic one.
I can enjoy people's stuff. Like you said for instance, like Eminem, like music and stuff, right? Like I love Cage the Elephant and their music. I wasn't a fan of all of their songs. Like I remember when I specifically started listening to them, it was like when like Borderlands originally showed up, and it was like, it's so good. And then their next CD was wild. Like it was weird. Like, obviously, I understand being a musician, having that want to do something different or change some things around, or like, hey, I want to really try out like doing these specific sounds. And I think they're weird, and I want to make them into a song or a CD or an album. And I was like, oh, I can get behind the musical want to do that. I just don't have to like the music. And that's nothing against them. I feel like as a healthy human being, we are allowed and should be allowed to disagree or not like a thing, as long as it's healthy. Like, don't be a dick.
And actually, just go with that. It's often is actually very healthy to disagree with things because you shouldn't be just yes manning everything.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's not healthy.
It can be hard. It can be hard though. I can understand like wanting to yes man everything. It's a lot smoother sailing when you don't have any bumps in the boat. But
you create bumps for yourself sometimes because
to be fair, you end up sailing to places you don't want to be, and
that too.
That's the point where it's like, man, I don't know how I got to this position after 8 years of being in it. It's crazy.
Metaphors.
But like, yeah, no, there's definitely a point where it's like you're gonna have to take those moments like of doing that. But like that, going back to the cult of personality, there's a lot of people out there that would see Taylor Swift as like they've done nothing wrong ever. Like I love Taylor Swift's music. I enjoy a lot of her stuff. I'm not obsessed with her. I think she's cool.
Well, and there's
The end.
also some of the more common ones are also ex post facto cults.
Okay, say that for the people like me that don't know
What is that?
Post facto, after the fact. So it's
Oh, I thought you
people
were
that
talking
sort
about
of
nailing
like
and knives.
deify figures that have already dead. So when you look at people like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, like Ronald Reagan,
to be fair,
they deify
Abraham Lincoln,
everything that they did.
Abraham Lincoln did fight vampires for sure.
He did fight
Yeah,
vampires.
absolutely.
That was a fact. So he deserves it.
That was a documentary.
They had incredible filming back then, and they did film everything that happened.
Watch that documentary.
That was a documentary, like Sharknado.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
Also a documentary.
Oh man. So I guess, is there a good thing that comes from the cult of personality? Is there ever a point where it's like, hey, this is a
You have a good example.
I do, or
pilots. No, I'm asking Preston.
I'm asking the man with literature, man. I don't know. He listed a shitload of people from history that I have never cared to read about, and unfortunately,
I think
that's the problem. I know one of the guys, and he's a piece of shit.
I think that
I know personally.
You want to know one of them personally?
No, I don't know him personally. If I did, it would have been different.
Yeah, I think they always do more harm than good, and that's not to say that it's all bad, but I think it outweighs the good.
But that's just human.
So I think when you're talking about ex post facto cults of personality, like historical figures,
right?
I think the good is that a lot of detail is being put onto the positive things that they have done, right?
Right.
Which sounds good off the bat. But then the problem is you lose the truth about what really happened and what their mindset would have actually been and who they were as a person. You're losing the person for the sake of hyping up their positive
it's like you're
actions.
believing in this ideal person.
Yeah.
This ideal person because all you've heard about him is everything positive. And if you were to meet that person, you'd be like, who the fuck is this?
Maybe that guy was a dick.
That guy was a cunt.
Like, I definitely am of one of those people that would look at like George Washington as a character in terms of like that same idea, I guess. Like, I think about the fact that this is a dude who just fought against our oppressors, or for freedom of our country and to become a country. The people wanted. This is, of course, don't fact check me because I guarantee you I'm wrong. But like the idea that he was a dude that was pushed into, I wouldn't say pushed into office, but like the first president. You know, I think he was like, "Nah, dog, I'm out."
Yeah, no, he did a lot of fantastic things.
They're like, "You could be the king of America," and he's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah,
how about
he did do that, and he did do a lot of great things.
Right.
But then you lose the fact, you lose some of the other things, and it kind of diminishes other people's roles in the events that happen. So, like, he was, for all intents and purposes, terrible tactician. He had a couple of very good battles, but he did not know how to fight a war. He was terrible at fighting the war. And we would have lost it had it not been for Thomas Jefferson being as good of a diplomat as he was with the French. Right. And you lose that story when you talk about, oh, he won an uphill battle against the greatest military power. Like, yes, but he didn't do that by himself. So you lose some of the other people that played a major role in that.
Right.
And a lot of those figures, Washington, Jefferson, even later on, you have to also talk about them being slave owners. That was a thing. Yes, a lot of people of his stature had them, almost everybody. It was still a thing that you have to talk about because he's an infallible human. He's not a god. And so I think that those
There's
downsides
Yeah,
outweigh the good that it does to show the good things that he did. And in
right.
a modern context, it leads to people like Kim Jong-un, who creates this image of himself to the North Korean people that he is a god, that he has supernatural powers, right?
Yeah.
No
That he
good comes
doesn't
out
shit.
of that. No good whatsoever.
Well,
And in less serious
no, you can't think of that.
yeah, no, and even in less serious cases, I guess, or not serious but less extreme cases, when you
That
look
is
at
pretty extreme.
it is, but when you look at like Brazil and what's happening in Brazil with their current president Bolsonaro, where he has started to build this rabid base that will literally overthrow the government for him, right? That's terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's happening in real time. So these
We
these
can
things
watch
can
it.
be, yeah, I know. And so these things, these types of things can be dangerous.
Right.
And it can even it can be dangerous for even when you're talking about the celebrity variant of it. As if you look what happened to John Lennon. Right? He was killed by one of his most rabid fans.
I watched a recent anime that straight up had a celebrity that got killed by their fan, and that loved them,
What anime?
mind you. Oh God, I have to find the name.
I can't believe you
It's
don't
in
have it already,
Japanese, and I'm not very good with that.
I was about to say something real stupid.
What?
No, nah.
What
nah,
was it?
I'm gonna save myself. I'm gonna save face a little bit right now.
But I want to know.
I don't need the internet being like, "Fuck that guy." Listen, I love me some anime. To be fair, the only Japanese that I really like
Now I'm gonna slaughter this. It's
go for it.
Shit. It moved. To
That's not the
next
name
one.
of it.
It's Oshinoko.
I have no
Okay.
idea what it is.
Oshinoko.
Yep. Oshinoko.
To be fair, like,
and I'm probably not pronouncing it right.
My sister taught me specifically one thing. She was doing the Duolingo thing, which, to be fair, I tried doing for a little bit, just never got that far in it. But the Japanese sentence that I know that I love saying to people is "Sumimasen, watashi wa ringo desu."
What does it mean?
Excuse me, I am an apple.
Useful.
I love it.
It's so useful.
I love it so much.
You're an apple.
Because you can get like real serious with it too. You're like,
I mean, it sounds legit.
Sumimasen, watashi wa ringo desu.
If you said that to someone that actually spoke Japanese,
konnichiwa.
they'd be like,
like the old commercial with like fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm still I want to know if there's ever a point where it was good. Would you consider Cult of Personality? Because obviously, like, political is where we're talking about it, right? That is what the Cult of Personality typically points to, is political power.
Yes.
Is there ever a point where that is it considered, is religion considered political power?
I mean, there have been instances of this with religious
like
organizations,
right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it can exist in any form. Like, it could be a democracy, theocracy. It could be literally anything, and one person overtaking it.
And to go with what Max was saying, like, for example, we already have the example of Washington. Could he have had, like, I guess we can never know. Could, in theory, he have had a cult of personality?
Oh, absolutely.
With him at that time, and people were willing to follow him and die for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which caused some good.
Yes, but it didn't. But it never turned into that.
Right.
And I think I think most of the good that he did, or at least the most lasting one, was giving up that power, right?
Yeah.
Because our story is actually very similar to Mexico's story in terms of how the democracy was formed. The difference was Mexico didn't have term limits, and it became so corrupt that then they went the other way and made it so that there was a one-term limit, and that made it even worse. So I think some of his more lasting impacts are the fact that he gave up that power, and those wouldn't be around if he had developed that. I think probably
I got a whole weird thing about governmental power and whether I think a democracy is even a good thing. Sometimes
I will stand behind it with the other Helldivers. But
I think probably the closest that one has ever come to being a good thing, I guess this is also in retrospect, not having lived through it, was the Roman Empire.
Okay.
Because a lot of the expansion of the Roman Empire happened under Augustus.
Okay.
And that was one of the first cults of personality. The Roman people, or at least the Roman government, that we know of, that's recorded historically and not a poem of some kind. Because there are other ones.
Prima Porta.
But it expanded Rome's power, influence, increased its economic gains, and gave a lot of people, specifically within the Roman army, land and money when they wouldn't have had it. But the precedent that he set, being an emperor, also led to the collapse of Rome eventually. So, it kind of...
Yeah. So,
in the words of Eddie Izzard, man, we are traveling along a interesting road.
It really
We're the only ones to do the hand of art thing, besides the Romans.
It really is. Like, it's kind of interesting because, like, I would say it definitely is more bad than good. When you look at, like, all the cults of personalities that we are looking at, it is more bad than good. But it does walk a fine line, and going back to what I was saying earlier, it does sound a lot like being in love. Like, you don't think rationally, you don't act rationally. When those strong feelings, because a lot of it sounds like it's driven by emotion, is driving you to make those decisions or defend that person, because you love them to the point of you love their actions, you love, like, that horrible thing they did because you love that person. They become infallible. Just like maybe that special individual.
And
but like,
that is actually a very good analogy for it. Because it gets to the point where
it's kind of scary.
It is. It is, and especially with how big some of these can get.
You don't choose who you love, Preston. You don't choose who you love. That's so stupid.
No.
Yeah, but you can choose not to be insane.
Really? Can you?
Say
that to a crazy person.
Now,
see what happens.
the thing is, too, though, the mechanisms by which a lot of these form, either one, political or non, it's a lot of social engineering, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at the celebrity side, they only put forward as much of their life as they want you to know.
True.
They show you the good things. They hide the bad things, and
that's when you have to thank the old paparazzi for really just fucking everything.
Right. and then on the same thing goes for the political ones, especially with the more powerful ones that might control the media outlets, or in North Korea's case, everything. Right? They get to choose the narrative that you learn about them.
Listening, I can't remember her name. I have to find her name. North Korean lady that does like a lot of TED Talks and stuff.
Yeah, it's
Oh
like
yeah,
her.
yeah,
It's like her. She's like one of the few people they let out of North Korea.
yeah. Yeonmi
Oh
Park.
God. I was about to look. I found it and I was like, I'm gonna butcher that.
Yeah,
Say it one more time.
Yeonmi
Yeonmi?
Park.
Dude, the stories that she talks about with like the fact they have like a radio that you have to keep on that
Yeah.
has just the drooling of fucking Kim Jong Un strong
Now to be
emperor.
fair with her, it is good to preface that some of the stories that she has told contradict other people that have also escaped who have said like
Right.
those kinds of things don't happen, but a good chunk of what she says has been
Right.
corroborated.
Like, did she escape? I actually don't know anything about this
Yeah. So if I remember correctly,
Oh,
There's a lot of-
she escaped through, I think, like a river. She crossed a river into, I think she got to South Korea. And she moved over to the States not long after she had escaped.
okay.
But I don't know her story 1-to-1, but yeah, some of the stuff that she talks about is like exactly what we're talking about, where there was radio broadcasts every day, literally just about how amazing Kim Jong Un was, or they would have to have a picture of the ruling family in their living room, that was visible at all times, and they would do random inspections to make sure that it was on the mantle.
Jesus.
And
the fact that it's I just looked up her Wikipedia. Granted,
Uh-huh.
again, everyone, Wikipedia is not always correct because it can be
100%
manipulated by the
factual.
random people. She younger than me, man.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, brother.
She's been through some shit.
Yeah, no, I feel like I've definitely been through the ringer with my whole terrible spending habits.
I was wrong.
So
Yeah,
bad.
she escaped when she was
Perspective,
13, and they escaped into China.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
She did. I did watch a video about what she was talking about. Like a lot of China, what will happen in China is that people will be trafficked and they become sex workers. Like they just get abducted and like it's a crapshoot of whether. Granted, this is something that she said. I have no factual proof of this, and I have no intention of looking it up because I don't want to be sad. But a lot of the people that would escape would either be deported, they would get taken to places to be workers for that trade, and yeah, no, like it's a very lucky thing that she got to where she is now.
And
Terrible.
the crazy thing about
crazy.
her story too is the part that's been corroborated is that her family was a very powerful family in North Korea. They were,
Damn.
for all intents and purposes, very wealthy. But when you hear about the conditions that they were living in, it sounds like the poverty in the U.S.
Right.
Like having to ration food, sometimes her father having to skip out on eating because there wasn't enough food for everybody. Right, and
they were rich.
So I can't even imagine what the majority
and I'm explaining about
is.
paying for food and paying too much.
Yeah. Nothing slaps you in the mouth like with perspective. Like, oh yeah, we used to be rich where we came from, and we had to conserve food and survive off of XYZ. And it's like, dude, yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And that is one of the most extreme outcomes of these kinds of cults of personality.
Yeah, we live in a weird time where you can have the freedoms that you have in America, the things that we have. Like you can complain about them all you want, but the reality is you are so much better off in terms of like
for sure,
a lot of things, you know. And then there are places that this is still a thing that happens. Like that's a thing that happens. Like there's a lot of places out there in the world that are just dark. They're bad places to be. As an American, you would not survive. I would not survive. I would be probably strung up
I
immediately.
completely believe that, but
I believe
that's
that
because
I
I
would
believe
get.
he'd go in prepared
I would.
if he knew he was going there.
If I knew beforehand that's where I was
Exactly.
going, yeah, no, I'd probably survive, or I would just immediately become a menace to
He'd be
society.
like, "Nope, I'm not going."
Rise up, brothers! But yeah, no, like there's definitely a point of
Oh,
like,
in a
shit.
month we're gonna see Max on a video, and he's just gonna be in another country starting a civil war.
Dude, there's just gonna be there's just gonna be like a single like flag of me and just like looking the distance.
Oh, no.
Democracy, brothers! Brothers and sisters, rise! Spill oil!
Ridiculous.
Yeah, dude,
Regulated
100%.
democracy. Manic.
There will be no
No.
regulations. There will only ever be full goof all the time, forever.
Ugh, I mean, as much as we make fun of a lot of the cults of personalities, I should say we, as in like the media and just people in general.
The three of us.
I don't really give a shit about it most of the time, so I don't pay attention. But like, it really can have some terrible side effects, like you said. Like when we just go to the celebrity, people they're being killed by your own fans.
Yeah.
Like just you're just trying to. I can't speak for every celebrity, but you're just trying to do your art, and
Right.
and someone fell in love and felt like you betrayed them, and you get murdered.
Well, I mean, like going through like high school, college, doing like the acting thing that I've done before, there's definitely a point where I thought about like, oh man, Hollywood, that's the place to be. I want to be
Sure.
famous. I want to be like, I want everyone to know my name. And then I thought about it, I was like, I mean, that's a lot of work to get there. It's a 1%. Like you talk about like the 1%ers of like
Less than
America,
1%.
then you also get like the less than 1% of like acting. Like there are
Mhm.
so many phenomenal actors, so many phenomenal singers, people that do crazy good work. And I think the best part about that is that with nowadays like media, the ability to play and post things on YouTube and do these other things like
Yeah.
that, like you have a lot of people that are really talented stuff. And yeah, no, we definitely put a lot of these Hollywood actors in a pedestal concept. Like we whatever they say is the word of God. Because they are those characters that they've played. Then there's people who play characters that think that they are that character, and it's like, man, you've had nothing but silver spoons in your mouth, my dude. Like, calm down. Like,
To go on with that, Preston, has there been any examples of cults of personalities about just a character?
That's a good question actually, and
William Wallace.
I'd probably say yeah. I mean,
So-
Yeah.
I believe William Wallace is a real person. He's an absolute gangster and 100% fucked people up. But there is the idea that there's people who say he didn't exist.
mhm.
And that's
I actually, and I think that there was a somewhat recent incident about this actually. So one of the actresses for The Boys TV show
Mhm.
went to a convention in
Oh shit! Yeah.
Ireland, I believe, and
I remember hearing
some
about
of the
this.
fans started requesting that she do some of the things that she did in the show, right? And treating her like people that were in costume as characters from The Boys, treating her like she was her character from the show. And after her saying multiple times that that was inappropriate and they need to stop, they continue to do so. So yeah, there are examples of that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know for sure that that's an example. That just might have been some people being fucking cunts.
I think that's
But I
just
get what you're saying.
I think Yeah, I think there's definitely a point of like that's not necessarily the cult of personality. That's the cult itself.
That's the cult.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, and all of the above. Don't be a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Period. Just
Yeah.
don't do it.
I
Don't do
wish
it.
you
mean,
wouldn't.
Be
I
better.
wish you would.
I wish you would be better. Just
So,
don't do that. Don't do that.
yeah, just step off. Someone that tells you to say no means no, you know. So, like, just back up. Step off. Other sayings that mean the same thing.
So this brings a memory to mind. There was a point during like COVID where I was gonna start like an Instagram or a YouTube or something like that, where I was just gonna all I would post is me drinking a beer, sitting outside, and the only words I would ever do is I would look at the camera and I'd just say, "Don't be a dick."
I think I remember you telling me about this.
And that's all it would ever be. The different points of me doing something, just like maybe talking to somebody and just stop, just turn, just don't be a dick. It's simple.
I think you should do it now.
Oh yeah, very good. Hold on, because I found out I can do this with my game.
Oh no.
Don't be
No, you gotta be like talking to someone.
Oh, okay.
And then you gotta time the zoom in just right
okay,
before.
gotcha,
Yeah.
So I'll pretend there's somebody to my left.
I'm to your right.
I am looking to my left.
Look the other way.
Okay, well,
Preston, this is what matters. What are you recording, Preston?
Anyways,
which side is he on?
This is gonna be an editing nightmare.
So the other day I was definitely talking about my my car and all that stuff, and it was definitely just not really working out the way it. Don't be a dick. So, anyways, what was that?
God damn it.
But yeah, no, cultists, man, they're crazy, right? Personalities, people out there are so. To be fair, people out there are awesome. Like we just talked about people that we enjoy, like Keanu Reeves, Critters, so on and so forth. There's a lot of people out there that are really cool, and you can be a fan of these people. Be a fan of anyone you want to be. That's fine. But you need to be critical. Like think for yourself. They are never going to have the exact same thought and process as you have. They will never be that way. Be a fan, but be you. You have always been enough, and you've always been cool. Maybe you haven't. I don't know, man. Don't be a dick.
We're changing the name of our show to "Don't Be a Dick."
Yeah, I wish you would not be a dick.
If you want to know what Preston's, because Max and I talked about some people that we enjoy that.
Yeah, let's talk about Preston's people.
If you want to know Preston's, talk about ask in the comments, and he can respond in a later episode.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're gonna totally do that.
We're gonna have to because we are out of time. And
we're gonna forget.
But we're gonna try not to forget. Hopefully we catch it in the recording since we just talked about it for like 30 seconds. But thank you for joining us tonight. We'll probably get to cults again, but it might not be cults of personalities. So keep an eye out for later episodes. Have a good night.
Love you guys. Oh, I'm out of here.
Oh.